everybody, it's your boy Jay, and welcome back to another episode of Comic Chaser. It's time for me to give you guys another shot of comic and pop culture with another set of reviews. And thankfully, for once in a long time, this is finally a light week in terms of comics, which is great for my wallet, but means that my video is gonna be like under 30 minutes or so, or maybe I'm just gonna yap and make it a 30-minute video, just because the longer videos tend to do better. But we do have a little something extra towards the end. At the end, I will do a quick review of a graphic novel that I picked up a couple weeks ago that I teased a while back that I was gonna pick up when it came out. And that is Zatana Bring Down the House. So we're going to do our usual format of like going over my stack of comics for this week, countdown style, talking about the comic that I enjoyed the least, all the way up to the comic that I thought was the best book of the week. And then we're going to end the video talking about Zatana Bring Down the House. So let's go ahead and just start right off. As per usual with all these videos, spoilers ahead for all the comics that came out this week, and let me know what you picked up if I missed out on anything that you would recommend. Also, I apologize for the lighting. I know my lighting has been bad for like the longest time, but I haven't invested in any like overhead lights. I need to at some point, but I'll get there. But yeah, first up we have Ultimate issue number 11. I think this is Dennis Camp with Ferrari on art. The art is really solid, for one. And this is all about Thor and Lady Sif, and basically their journey to recruit allies against Loki to, achieve their main goal of retaking Asgard. Because as you know, if you've been keeping up with Ultimates and the lore of this new 6160 universe, you'd know that Loki teamed up with the Maker to basically have the Maker back his coup for Asgard, and so Odin and Frigga are dead, and Loki is now in charge of Asgard, and Thor and Sif are on the run. And so Thor and Sif are basically on a journey across all the other 8 realms, essentially, because obviously there are 9 in total, Midgard being one of them. They're journeying across the other 8 realms to recruit other allies to their cause. And of course, a big bulk of them are the Warriors 3, and a majority of Norse gods that we all might be familiar with if you've played the Norse God of War games, like Brock and Eitri, the 2 dwarf Smith brothers who actually helped to make Mjolnir, which is super interesting. So they recruit a bunch of gods, they recruit some of the Vanir, but most importantly, the huge thing that happens at the very end is they actually somehow manage to recruit Surtur to their cause. That's right, the King of Muspelheim, the demon lord of the fire giant himself, the bringer of Ragnarok, is on the side of Thor and the Asgardians against Loki. Because I guess to Surtur it doesn't really matter as long as he gets to bring the end of Asgard. He doesn't care who rules it as long as he gets to destroy it, because that's his role in all these things, right? So, I mean, it makes sense. And this whole issue is structured like a Norse epic poem, which is pretty cool format-wise. But like nothing really happened much in this issue besides this one big recruitment mission, but it was pretty cool overall. The thing that gets me at the end is what we see with Tony Stark Iron Lad, which leads me to believe the theory that has been going around online a lot of that this Tony, of course, since he's going by Iron Lad, it makes a lot of sense because it seems like the Immortus engine is going to be his equivalent of the arc reactor that keeps him alive in this universe. And since he's using the Immortus engine, which is a time travel engine, this Tony will become a 6160 version of Kang. And so it looks like what he's seeing is possibly another timeline where Hulk kills all of the Ultimates, because I'm pretty sure in their failed assault against Hulk and the Immortal Weapons few issues back that their forces were definitely beat the fuck up, but weren't killed. Tony was almost killed. I know She-Hulk was not, but in that image on the screen, we see like Hulk holding She-Hulk's head, like severed head. So like clearly it's some kind of alternate timeline, and like Tony's able to see it somehow. And I'm guessing this has to do with his future transformation into the Ultimate Universe version of Kang, which is interesting. It definitely makes a lot more sense than the original Ultimate Universe, where Sue Storm became Kang through a bunch of convoluted circumstances I don't feel like explaining right now. If you want to look it up, I'm sure Comics Explained or somebody has done a video on it somewhere, but it's a complicated mess. Overall, again, what I like about Ultimates is it's the book that really does the heavy lifting in terms of the overall world building for the Ultimate Universe. So if you're really interested in the overall world and machinations of this new Ultimate Universe, this is a must read. But like, it didn't hook me as much as like last week's issue with like Namor's or not last week's, but last month's issue with like fucking the new Red Skull that turned out to be Bucky, and them keeping Namor's dead body as like this macabre trophy. Like, that was so fucked up. But this was just kind of a regular recruitment mission. It was good, but just okay, I guess. So, not bad, but definitely not the best of this small bunch. So yeah, that was Ultimates issue number 11. Next up, this is probably my favorite of the X-Men solo books that I've been reading. And this is Psylocke, issue number 6. This is the start of a brand new arc. This is written by Ali Wong with art by Vicente Caratu, I apologize, and Moises Hidalgo. Again, I know I pronounced Moises Hidalgo right because I can speak Spanish, but like I don't know about Vicente Caratu. I'm pretty sure that's Italian. I don't speak Italian. But this basically follows up with the cliffhanger at the end of the last issue, where basically Quanon has been haunted by what seems like the literal specters of her past, which includes like a distorted version of like Betsy's altered consciousness and some other stuff. And we also find out stuff that maybe have been revealed about Quanon in the past, but I did not personally know about. Like, she had a daughter at some point, and her daughter was kidnapped by the Hand and eventually killed, which makes a lot of sense because Quanon herself has origins as a Hand child soldier, so it would make sense that they would take her daughter away, try to train her, and then she somehow ends up being killed. But that's pretty interesting. So, it keeps messing with her. Like, she keeps getting interrupted by these psychic echoes and possible ghosts. So she decides to ask Magic, hey, you said you got a ghost guy? Let's talk to your ghost guy and see if I can figure this shit out. It's clearly fucking with our missions. So they end up going to the Big Easy, where Rogue's Uncanny X-Men team lives. I'm not reading Uncanny X-Men. I did start Jed McKay's X-Men run. I picked up that first volume. Have not fully read it yet. I'm like halfway through. I've kind of just been slacking on it. But I will finish it, and when I do finish it, I'll do a review on that as well. But so I don't know much about the Uncanny X-Men team. I do know about some of the new kids involved, and probably the one with the coolest, edgiest power set that I like the most is Deathstream, who has the ability to basically channel and commune with the dead. He's basically just a mutant necromancer, which is dope as fuck. And like, he's got this whole kind of Shinigami type theme. And so, Quanon basically approaches and is like, hey, so can you help me out? Help me figure out if these are just, my mind playing tricks on me or actual ghost. And he's like, oh no, it's definitely actual ghost. But if you touch my hand, we can actually summon this thing to the forefront and see what's going on. And of course, Rogue comes in. I don't know why there's beef between Cyclops' team and Rogue's team. Again, I haven't been reading the X-Men team book, so, if anybody who's been reading those books could fill me in on that, I'd really appreciate it. But Rogue basically chums in and is like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? Did Scott send you here? It's like, no, Scott doesn't know we're here. I'm just here to solve this problem. And then Psylocke touches Deathstream's hand, and this big Shinigami ghost monster thing starts attacking them, and there's the cliffhanger. And so next issue will have an issue where Psylocke, Magic, and Rogue, three of my most favorite characters, battle against this ghost demon thing. I'm hyped. I'm really hyped. Uh, I especially am interested in this arc because it'll unpack more of Psylocke's really weird and complicated past, which I know a good amount of. Like, I know about, like, the entire, like, confusing back and forth of Psylocke and Quanon, or Betsy Braddock and Quanon with the whole mind switcheroo thing. There have been several videos about it. I think the one that explains it the most concisely, Rob from Comics Explained, definitely, like I said, has one from a few years ago. I believe Mary Marvelite did one, and there's a bunch of other channels, but, like, it's really complicated. I've read those issues, and I still don't fully understand it. So unpacking this trauma is definitely something that's super important to Quanon, and I really like exploring her character in more depth because it's really interesting. Because she isn't the character we followed for like 20 years from the 80s up until the like 2010s. Like, well, I guess that's over 20 years, yeah. So like from the 90s up until the early 2010s. You know, Quanon is mostly a blank slate, so it's really interesting finding out more about her character. I've really enjoyed this series. It's like this dark action thriller series, and I'm really digging it. And, like, if you like stuff like Black Widow, all of Black Widow's solos and stuff by like Ed Brubaker and like Rick Remender, it has these kind of vibes. Like, if you remember Psylocke in Uncanny X-Force, it's very similar to that, even though this is not that same character, because that character was Betsy Braddock. I know, confusing as fuck. Welcome to Psylocke. Yeah, that was Psylocke issue number 6. Really solid, but not quite my book of the week from this short stack. That honor goes to Absolute Batman issue number 7. Oh, man. Look, you guys, I don't think some of you know. Most of you know Scott Snyder from his iconic Batman run with Greg Capullo in the New 52. And of course you do. It was great. They have a bunch of great arcs, like the Court of Owls, you know, 0 Year, Death of the Family, Super Heavy. I know a lot of people don't like Super Heavy, but I thought Super Heavy was actually cool. Endgame, all those iconic arcs. But what I know Scott Snyder from is American Vampire, which is his Swamp Thing from the New 52, which I think is his best work from the New 52. Take that hot take, if you will. So, Scott Snyder is an experienced horror writer, and boy, does he channel that into this issue. This is the absolute origin of Victor Freeze, and pun fully intended, this shit was bone-chilling. This is, of course, written by Scott Snyder with art this time by Marcos Martin. And I'm pretty sure I pronounced that correctly, because once again, hablo español. So, hopefully I got that one right. If not, lo siento. But yeah, this was really cool. Something I really like, that was a nice touch, is that we find out that in this universe, Matches Malone is a separate character and not just an identity taken on by Bruce. And he was one of like Bruce's crime alley gang pals. And that was pretty cool. But Matches ends up getting got pretty early on. And basically, you know, part of this issue is the rest of the crime alley gang, you know, Harvey Dent, Oswald Cobblepot, Edward Nigma, Waylon Jones, all of them being like, all right, Bruce, what the fuck is going on? Tell us about this Batman thing. And Bruce, being Bruce, and being like, look, guys, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have dragged you in. I didn't want you guys to be a part of it. And he's like, no, Bruce. I don't think you understand. This whole Batman thing. Is that why you studied with me as a law clerk? Is that why you studied with me? You know, says Nigma about like computers and tech and all that stuff. Is that why you worked with me? Why you trained with me? That's really cool. So instead of Bruce traveling all around the world, getting all these different masters like Henry Ducard or Henri Ducard, if you know, 'cause French pronunciation and shit. Zatara, all these other people as his different masters from around the world. He learned all these different skills from his friends in Crime Alley. He learned to fight from Waylon Jones, which is why he's much more of a like a bruiser, bare knuckle brawler. He, you know, learned all the tech smart stuff from Eddie Nigma. He learned, uh, you know, all about law and city infrastructure from like studying with Harvey Dent, which makes a lot of sense because you know if you're gonna fight crime, you're gonna also need to know the law. That does make a lot of sense. It's really fucking interesting and a nice twist once again on classic Batman that feels different, but definitely still feels Batman to the core. Um, but with this, right, the actual like meat and potatoes of this issue is Mister Freeze, and this one is a pretty nice parallel to Batman because this Mister Freeze is not just your traditional Victor Freeze. He's actually Victor Freeze Jr., the son of Victor and Nora Freeze, and Victor himself is very much a character kind of trapped in the past, which is a very solid parallel to Bruce because, you know, he's very much holding on to his father's death and kind of using that as his main motivation for his mission, his one-man war on crime. And we find out that, you know, instead of the tragic backstory that we got from, like, the animated series and stuff that eventually just kind of got, like, retconned into the comics with, you know, Victor doing all this cryo research to save Nora from her illness, Victor Sr. and Nora actually did all this to save their son from an incurable disease, to basically keep him in cryostasis until enough time had passed to where they had developed a cure for his unknown disease. And eventually they did. But it caused some unforeseen circumstances, which is essentially Victor turning into this parasite-invested, like, cryo zombie. Like, I would show you the final page that reveals what Freeze looks like, and because it is nightmare fuel, but you guys have to experience this for yourself. I know I spoiled the whole damn thing, but seriously, read this shit, man. It's so good. Oh my god. And like, dude, it's just so intense. And the fact that, like, Victor Sr. and Nora, as well as a bunch of people from the Freeze Company V Corps, are kind of like in this kind of cult of believing that they're being saved and preserved and are going to be awoken later into a better world, is so fucking morbid and creepy. I love it. This is Scott Snyder channeling his horror juice into this, and I am here for it. This was straight up cold-blooded, pun fully intended. Really enjoyed this book. This was easily my book of the week. Even if I had like 100 books, I think this would be at the top of the pile. Holy shit, this was amazing. Alright, last but certainly not least, we're going to quickly talk about Zatana, Bring Down the House, written by Mariko Tamaki, with art by Javier Rodriguez. I just want to show you guys how beautiful this book looks. I'm just going to find just any random page and open it up. Just look at this. Rodriguez also does the colors, which you can see, because if you're familiar with any of his work, he started off as a colorist, so the colors are just fucking amazing, and this hardcover is beautiful. Honestly, it looks even better without the dust jacket on. Like, I'll show off, like, that's what it looks like without the dust jacket. I kind of want to take it off just because it looks gorgeous. But yeah, the art is great. This is I believe it's a Black Label miniseries. And this is an alternate universe take on Zatana's origin. It's pretty much like the same as usual, but there is a big twist to it where her relationship with her father is very different. I'm not gonna, even though I'm gonna review this comic, I'm not gonna go into too many spoilers because I think, because this is a graphic novel as opposed to a single issue, and I think you guys should definitely pick this story up. But yeah, her relationship with her father is vastly different. I will spoil that he is the main antagonist of this book. I won't say how, but it's really interesting, and it also puts Zatana in a very interesting position where she does not start off as powerful as you would normally assume Lady Z would be. And it makes for a really interesting and compelling story of Zatana kind of figuring herself out, discovering her own power. It's really fucking cool. Zatanna is one of my favorite characters of all time from DC. I love the DC Magic stuff. I've always loved it. Justice League Dark is probably my favorite thing to ever be created from the New 52, to be honest with you. Like, there hasn't been a bad run of Justice League Dark for me. I've liked them all, especially when Wonder Woman was on it. I thought that was so dope. And I was like, finally, people are embracing Wonder Woman's magic side, which is why Absolute Wonder Woman is the best Absolute book. I know I just gushed all over Batman, but like, Absolute Wonder Woman is definitely my favorite Absolute book so far. Although Green Lantern, man, Green Lantern had a really strong start. But yeah, this artwork is beautiful. The story is really interesting. If you like Zatana, this story is very familiar, but definitely different enough for you to get enjoyment out of it. But if you're brand new to Zatana, this is a nice introduction to her character. Her personality is still very much intact. You get to see some familiar characters like John Constantine or Constantine. I never know which way you're supposed to pronounce it. I know British people pronounce it Constantine, so if you're reading an actual Hellblazer comic, you pronounce it Constantine, but this interpretation feels way more like the New 52 version of John, which I pronounce as Constantine to make a distinction. But yeah, really good book. I know it was very vague, but again, this is a whole graphic novel. You should totally pick this up. They knocked it out of the park. It's absolutely beautiful, really compelling story, and I breezed through this so fast. I could not put it down. I definitely recommend this to any Zatana fan or anybody that wants to get into Zatana as a character. Totally pick this up. Either read this, Paul Dini's Zatana miniseries, or I believe it was also done by Paul Dini. I have another graphic novel that's Black Canary and Zatana, which is awesome because it ties together two of my favorite characters who happen to be scantily clad and favor fishnets, but I have a type, I guess. So yeah, that was it. Not quite a 30-minute video, but 23 minutes. Pretty close, because I'm not going to edit most of this down. So yeah, there you go. But stay tuned, true believers, because next week, I already looked, next week is going to be a pretty heavy week. So we will get those normal giant-sized episodes. So enjoy this shorter one while you can. Until next time, this has been Jay, and I hope you've enjoyed this latest episode of Comic Chaser. Until then, I'll catch you later, and hopefully you've enjoyed this shot of pop culture. Peace.